I'm Amy from Doodle Dog Designs. It's getting close to September, so I've started thinking about fall decorations. And one of the things I wanted to make this year is some velvet pumpkins. I found this velvet dress at a thrift store, and I don't mind cutting it up because it has a few stains on it. It's a nice burgundy color, and I want to make a burgundy pumpkin, but I'm also going to try grunging some of them and leaving some of them nice and pretty. We'll see what I end up liking the best. So I've got just a plate around it. Any round object will work. I'm going to cut along the seam just to open up my fabric here. I'm cutting along the seam between the bodice and the skirt. That first seam was one of the seams down the side of the skirt. I was cutting around the rosettes. I am going to take those rosettes off and save them. I might be able to use them for a different project. So now I have a flat piece of fabric I can work with, and I will get the plate all the way to the edge of the fabric so I can get as much out of this skirt as possible. And I've got a marker here, and I'm going to trace. I think it would work better with a bigger tip marker. I'm going to trace around the fabric. Yeah, that's much better. And then I'll cut it out. I chose some thread that matches this pretty well, and I've got a double strand of it on my needle. And I'm going to start on the back side, the inside, so my knot is on the inside. And I'm going to just go about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. And I'm going to do a running stitch all the way around, or a gathering stitch. I have finished sewing all the way around, and I'm going to take some stuffing and fill the pumpkin. You could use, this is just some like polyfill, fiberfill type stuffing. You could use like some walnut shells or sawdust if you prefer to have your pumpkins be a little bit heavier. I want the pumpkin to still have some amount of wrinkling to it, so I don't want to get it super stuffed. So I'm going to pull it tight. I think that looks pretty good. So to close it, I'm going to pull it as tight as I can, and then I'm going to hold that tight where the thread comes out, and I'm going to sew a couple of times. Sew back through my loop here to create a knot to hold that tight so my gathering doesn't loosen. And then I'm going to sew back and forth here between the two sides of my open circle to close that up. And then I'll go over here and do this the other direction. So my threads that I'm sewing have formed a T. Some going up and down and some going across. You can see that really closes up that hole. I'm going to tie that off. Then I'm going to bring the rest of the thread back through and out the bottom of the pumpkin. That way I don't have it inadvertently end up with the thread hanging out here. And then I'll pull that tight and cut the end of the thread off. And then the end will go down inside the pumpkin there. Now to top it all off with, you could use a stick, or I've seen some people use the tops of like Hobby Lobby or Dollar Tree pumpkins and put them on them. I'm going to use a pumpkin stem that was saved from last year's pumpkins and dried. I like the size of this one. I'm going to cut some of that excess off of there. I like the look of that much better. I'm going to use some tacky glue. You could use hot glue if you want. Press that down onto there and hold it for a little bit to make it stick. I'm going to take this vintage white folk art craft paint and I'm going to use a stiff brush. I'm going to paint some onto the velvet fabric before I make it a pumpkin. And I'm going to think about how it's going to lay so when it's made it will all come up like this. So I'm going to streak out like slices of pie from the middle just to make streaks. My brush marks are going to show, so I just want to make sure they're going in the right direction and not every which way. I'm going to let that dry. The paint is dry now and I'm going to sew it just like I sewed the other pumpkin by doing a gathering stitch all the way around the edge. Here's a comparison of these two. The one on the right is the original and the one on the left with the white paint. I'm going to make this third pumpkin very much like I made the second pumpkin, only I'm going to use some brown paint. This is burnt umber. And I'm also going to mix in some brown oxide paint. It's a little bit lighter, and I'm going to mix the two colors together for this one. The paint is dry and I'm going to sew it up like I did the other. This is the plain velvet. This is the one with the white painted on it. You can see it's a little bit different of a look. And this is the one with the brown painted on it. It's a little bit darker, less shiny look. I think all three of these together will look nice. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe below. I'll see you next time. Bye.